the next passage I'm going to quickly read, relates to these guys in that Jason, when he started playing with them, would go off and record records without them and not tell them, and come back, and they would get in the car to go to a show, and Jason would pop in a CDR and say, "Hey guys, listen to this record I just made." And they were like, "What?" So when Jason went off to record Didn't It Rain, he'd been playing with these guys for almost 2 years. And so it was a bit of a shock to them, but I think you guys ended up loving the record, right? So I'm going to read a little bit about that. Inspired by historical struggles of the Rust Belt working man and sounds of blues and gospel traditions, and armed with the words of Stubbs Terkel and Gwendolyn Brooks, both of whom he'd been reading obsessively, Molina rolled up to Soundgun Studios in Philadelphia in what engineer Edon Cohen remembered as a rented jet-black cop car, something like a Ford Crown Victoria, looking pleased with himself as Sade blared from its speakers. It was in this North Philly industrial moor, which was commonly referred to as the Badlands, that the songwriter and engineer crafted what many consider Molina's first perfect record, a nod to the gospel blues and roots traditions that inspired Molina, released under the namesake of the traditional tune popularized by Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Didn't It Rain? In a 2002 interview, Molina explained, quote, "I try to do as little editing as possible in my songwriting, even now. That's just a way of keeping things free and spontaneous, which is, pretty much just keeping to a sort of blues tradition. The blues singers, the great ones, they start out on an idea, and they advance on that idea for 5 minutes, singing in sort of a circle about the same 5 things they want to get across. I think that free, circular, abstract kind of songwriting can be a very complete form of storytelling, and it's something we can all do when we're not so self-conscious." This couldn't be more true of Didn't It Rain, in which direct lyrical themes of desolate landscapes and downtrodden dispositions steer instrumentation conceived and executed by a cast of musicians who'd mostly never played together before and would mostly never play together again, including Molina's friend Jenny Bedford from Oberlin and her Pine Tops bandmate Jim Cruson. Molina was very specific about his atmospheric goals for the record and filled the room with physical manifestations of the album's aura in the form of posters of iconic blues musicians hung on handmade wheeled bevels. Next to each image lived an oversized sheet of white paper with the song's lyrics scrawled in Molina's distinctive romantic script. Quote, "He'd write in red, 'Jim, sing here,' or 'Jim and Jenny, sing here,'" Benford recalled. They started each recording after sundown and dimmed the lighting so that the words were barely visible, allowing a sort of darkness to envelop the room and drive a spectral and contemplative posture. Benford recalled Molina asking her to listen to Neil Young's After the Gold Rush ahead of the session, which inspired her to play the piano. Molina and Cohen had discussed the record a bit over the phone prior to the session, where the singer insisted that everything be recorded live with a minimal studio cast. Having a self-described hard head, one perhaps as stony as Molina's, Cohen pretended to acquiesce and then immediately prepared himself for battle. He wanted lush instrumentation and had a strong hunch that live vocals just wouldn't work in his sprawling space, a former factory. Once Molina hit town, Cohen was particularly adamant about the inclusion of lap steel player Mike Brenner, a local whose homemade lap bass, a bass guitar he rigged up so that it could be played slide style on his lap, added the eerie cello-like sounds heard throughout the record. After a few verbal rounds, Molina relented after hearing a number of recordings of Brenner's session work. Cohen also managed to call in friends Greg Castano, Matthew Schwood, and John Popovich to help flesh out the tracks, though the three were largely uncredited after the album's release. With no further ado.
No matter how dark The storm gets overhead. They say someone's watching from the calm at the edge. What about us down here in it? We gotta watch our own backs. But if you do see that golden light, that it shines in its fiery eye, go on and catch it while you can. Go on and catch it if you can. And let it course through you. And let it burn through you. If it's a light of truth. If it's the light of truth. Whatever all else there is, you gotta watch your own backs. Try to see the light of goodness burning down the track. Through the blinding rain, through the swaying wires, I see you struggle, and I will not turn my back. I've seen a good man and a bad man. Down the same path. Seen the light of truth, keeping out of it. Told them to watch their own backs. Struggle and giving all that you got. I see you work all night, burning your light. To the last of its dim watts. I'm gonna help you how I can. You see me struggle all night, and I'll give you a hand, 'cause I'm in deep. my own